Okay, we are live. So, first I'd like to say hello and thank you all for joining us here today at our BeInCrypto interview with Yu Liu, the co-founder and CEO of DBOND, a protocol that allows users to create their own bonds and derivatives backed by crypto. Thank you so much for joining me today, Yu.
Thank
How are
you.
you doing today?
It's fine. It's quite hot in Paris, but everything works well here.
Great. So let's jump right into it. As the co-founder and CEO of DBOND, how would you evaluate today's economic conditions and cryptocurrency's role within that?
So for me, I think in crypto, if you mention the word crypto, you will find often, let's say, two notion. The first one is the freedom. So ideally, a Web3 promise the freedom, and the freedom can help you, let's say, build the most transparent system. And the second promise is, as the earlier beginner, as the earlier participant, you will earn a huge amount of money. So this is a way to, let's say, reverse the old, let's say, system and try to build new ones. So personally, I only believe in the first part. I mean, it will bring the transparency into the existing system, but it will never overthrow the existing, let's say, capital system. So that's basically the old goals of our company is to bring more transparency into traditional finance.
Fantastic. So what makes DBOND stand out, and how can it deliver on its promise of bringing about DeFi 2.0?
Yes, so if you are talking about a DeFi, current DeFi system, there are a lot of problems. You have the gas fee problems, you have the slippage, and most importantly, you have what's so-called impairment loss, which means that you have been promised a 5% of interest return, and at the end, you will lose everything. So that's a very important issue about a financial product. Most of the user of this product should not be losing money. It's meaningless to create such kind of product. So basically, for me, to build a better, more performing DeFi, what we need is to bring certain amount of certainty and transparency into DeFi. So basically, our company developed a technology called ERC3475, and what we call it's a tokenized obligation, which means that this time when you are using a DeFi, you are signing a two-party contracts, and on the contract you say that how much interest I will expect on which date, and how much liquidities I will be stay in the pool for how long. So everything is fixed. It's a contract. Both parties sign the contract. If this happens, you got 5% of the interest and your principal back. If this happens, you will lose maximally 2%. So everything is built on contract. This can first bring certainty. And the DBOND also are building a bridge with traditional finance and with our third-party partners, the traditional institutions such as banks and investment banks, all those, they will be able to participate into the DeFi market. They can also issue what they call a DBOND, which is a smart bond or decentralized bond, and those bonds can be purchased by every retail users, you and me, and all those users on our platform. So that is basically what we consider as let's say, a better version of DeFi. I have not used the word DeFi 2.0. It's just a better version of DeFi. It's a better word ahead.
Excellent. So you touched on this a little bit, but could you elaborate more on how DBOND's technology works to bring about this vision?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, the whole protocol, the whole system, the infrastructure is built on top of what we call ERC3475. So basically, it's a new token standard. It's like ERC20, ERC721. It's a standard that will be used by other protocols to build their own solutions. So using these structures, you can build more performing and more stable DeFi project. Because we have technology called multi-layered pool. If you are using this pool and you are using ERC3475, every ERC3475 token can identify each deposit, which means that each time you deposit, you will receive a special token, a special LP token only for you. And with this mechanism, we can know that which person invested on which day and what is their risk value. They can choose, I prefer higher interest, higher risk. So all those things, different risk values, different tokens, different timelines, different token types, different everything different can be built inside of one single what we call multi-layer pool. And all the liquidities in the pool will be used for all the transactions, which means the slippage will be reduced. When you swap in multiple tokens, the gas fee will be reduced. When you're creating new pairs, everything is reduced. Because right now the pools can communicating with each other inside, rather than like old times, you have separated pair pools, and each pair pools have separated liquidity, and no pool can communicating with each other, and one LP token is only representing this pair contract. So it's less performing in that way, but our own solution will be much more reliable if we want to build a real and workable functional DeFi system. Let's say for the traditional institutions, they were not interested in a liquidity pool has $200,000 and some Ethereum. They were never interested in that. So we need to build, let's say, a very, very, very big ecosystem. It's open system, allow everyone to joining in, and this market will grow and grow with it. It's the reputation and let's say the value of the company.
Can you tell me more about DBOND's functionality and what it allows users to do that they like really haven't had access to before?
So how can I say? So basically, if you are talking about bond, you have the issuer and the purchaser. So for the purchaser part, let's say the most of the retail users, a DBOND to them is just like a yield farming protocols. The only thing different is this time, when you read before you deposit, you read 5% of the interest. After 2 days, on that day, without any conditions, you will get the interest promised and your principal back. Because bond means certainty. So that's why that's how DBOND is different from all the existing DeFi protocols. It's certainty, and most importantly, it's like I said before, a bridge between the real financial world and DeFi. So in traditional finance, the market for bond and derivatives actually is much bigger than the fiat exchanges and the day-to-day merchandise exchanges. The market is huge. It's bigger than the United States national GDPs. For example, the whole US bond market. This market is not existing, literally not existing in DeFi. Because in DeFi, using the existing infrastructure, ERC20 and ERC71, you can't build this complex system. That's why our ERC3475 come to place and use our technology. The world biggest market will come to DeFi, and this time with it, not other retail investors, not only other retail investors, but with us as the most important investment banks and European banks and Societe Generale, all those banks. So this time is the first time, and maybe the important step to, let's say, to build a functional DeFi with the help of the traditional financial institutions.
Thanks. Now, as we all know, DeFi still has some like hurdles to overcome in terms of scaling and fees and security. Do you see that DBOND can offer any solutions to help with these issues?
You mean security in terms of the risk value of the bond, financial securities?
I guess, yeah, everything across just making DeFi faster, more efficient, and more secure for the user.
Yeah, because I did that. If you, I'm not sure everyone know the so-called triangle dilemma. So basically, you have the security, you have the efficiencies, and you have a decentralization. So if you increase one part, the two other parts will be decreased. So basically, you can't build a triangle with, let's say, 100% freedom, efficiencies, and everything. You can't have everything. So what we want to focus on is very simply bring transparencies into traditional finance. We don't want to have 2008 again. We don't have the P2P crisis again. What we want is an open, trustworthy financial system built on top of the smart contract and allow the exchanges of capitals, let's say, more efficiently. So this is our goal. To achieve this, we need to sacrifice a little bit, let's say, the centralization issue. So in order to get that amount of the security, we sacrifice a little bit, let's say, for the code reviews, for the let's say DAO organizations. Everything is a little bit less focusing on achieving our goal, which is build a functional bridge between traditional finance and DeFi. And also for the traditional financial institutions, they want to have most of the time, let's say, higher degree of the control over their financial product. So that's basically what we are building. It's not 100% decentralized system. It's more or less like, let's say, more or less the real adaptation of the blockchain technology as a service or solution, rather than just building something entirely with blockchain technology. So our company don't only have the technology part, we have also the financial, let's say, compliance part, and we have also the KYC partners with banks and some other European financial institutions to help us get all those procedures, let's say, clear and workable. So that's basically how we are going to achieve this kind of the security. And for the tech side, of course, we are audited by PackShield and Certic. It's two of the most important auditing companies. And inside of the team, we have the let's say team members come from the cybersecurity department and all those security studies. So basically, internally we can review the code with them, and externally we have a third party to review our code to ensure that it will not be hacked too easily. So that's basically my answer.
Great. Again, you touched on this a little bit, but if you could elaborate more, obviously in DeFi, decentralization is important. So could you talk more about what makes DBOND decentralized, or how decentralized it is?
Yeah, so like I explained before, DBOND is decentralized, but it's decentralized like all the smart contract and like all the protocols. So if you go to, let's say, Snapshot, and you open no matter which protocols, and you see no matter what proposals, what you will see is a proposal, and 99% or maybe 100% who voted yes, and 0% who voted no. So basically, in DeFi, it's never decentralized. It's never governed by the math. It's never like this. The only difference, what we make is we try to convince more retail investors to participate in the governance process, because we will offer some small percent of the interest to the people who vote, and we will also allocate other reward to people who are willing to participate in the, let's say, the events of the communities. So we will build a more coherent communities with allocation and all other things. But if you ask me, no single protocols on Snapshot, they are not decentralized. Everything is centralized. Big stakeholders, big holders of token, they control, let's say, 20% of all the tokens. And every time the proposal is passed, as only those 20% of the tokens are being, let's say, they are put into vote. So it's a never decentralized system. What we want to do and what we can do is to build, let's say, have the justice for the whole process. It's like a systematic, and maybe it's a procedural justice instead of the real justice and the real freedom, which is impossible to achieve.
Well, thank you for that. I know you guys have done an airdrop, and often the community meets airdrops with a little bit of uncertainty. How do you feel your airdrop has affected DBOND's reputation?
So basically for DBOND, we have three kinds of tokens. We have what we call the DBIT. It's an index token, so it's like let's say settlement currency or the liquidity you use for day-to-day exchanges. This is used for the airdrop. And we have also the governance token and the DNFT, which is also a type of governance token. So for the airdrop, the amount is 500K, which is very small compared with our valuation and compared with the potential market. So the 500,000 token we put into the market, it's a very small percentage of the future market. And also for the part of the airdrop, the 500K we allocated, it will only be unlocked when the market grows bigger. And when the total airdrop will not affect market, then all airdrops will be distributed. So in that case, this will not affect the market, and it will bring some of the, let's say, earlier people who will be interested in the protocol. So that is why we decided to host an airdrop on our website. And I think the airdrop is still open. And if you're interested, just take a look at our website and you can find the events details.
Excellent. Moving on, given the current fact that we're in the middle of a crypto bear market and a larger global financial downturn, how do you see DBOND's role entering or kind of playing into the market, given that everything's kind of on the low end right now?
Yeah, so actually, if we are talking about bear market, every time in a bear market, people are looking for a safe way to invest. And the most safe, let's say the safest way we can find in the traditional finance is bond. It's a national bond. It promises 5%, 3% of interest per year. And it's a guaranteed because it's the whole financial system is backing the, let's say, the federal bond. So in fact, even in a bear market, or let's say in a bear market, bond will do better than any other financial product. And it will do even better than comparing with, let's say, a bull market, because people in bull market were not interested in 5% of interest return per year. But in a bear market, it's very tempting to can keep your money safe and can generate some interest. So I believe it's not necessarily the bad time for DBOND because we're at the right place with the right technology and at the right point.
Good. All right. Well, what about with regulatory uncertainty, especially across different jurisdictions, and the fact that there's a lot of more cracking down on crypto going on? How do you see that affecting DBOND?
Yeah, so basically for us, what we consider the company is not a fully decentralized blockchain-based company, like explained before. So let's say we can use a very popular term. So it's BAS, blockchain as services. So we provide a service and we will charge a stamp duty. So the issuers of the bond is not necessarily us or any other DeFi protocols. It can be Mercedes, it can be a Societe Generale, it can be any banks, any institutions who has the right to do so. So in the regulative sense, we are not the issuer of those financial products. And of course, when people investing in our platform, if they are using cryptocurrencies, we have already the legal, let's say, documents to manage the digital assets in terms of the fiat money. So if you're traditional institutions, you are not allowed to invest in DeFi, but you can work with our partners. Let's say, for example, Societe Generale, most likely will be our partner in the future. If you want to invest with euros to DeFi, what you can do, you can lock the euro to the Societe Generale account, and they will issue a kind of digital assets using our technology, using our 3475. And what you will get is a token. It's a tokenized obligation, which is entirely KYC compatible with European laws. So that is kind of solutions we can offer. So in terms of the, let's say, the KYC and the regulation issues, it's entirely, let's say, we leave the difficult part to the third parties, to the big institutions and the traditional banks. They will solve those problems, and they are most reliable compared with DeFi projects. So, like I said again, we are not trying to define not define. We are not trying to let's say provocate. We are not trying to let's say accuse anything of the traditional finance. We are working with them. That's the most important part of our project. They are part of the traditional financial system. Only they are using blockchain technology, and in that sense, they are not only a blockchain companies. They also have all the connections with the traditional institutions. So that's why and how our KYC solutions will be more reliable than most of the other DeFi projects.
Great. All right. Final question, but it's kind of a broad one. Where do you see DBOND and DeFi going over the next 5 years?
So I think the first question you asked about what do you think, what DeFi is and what will be the future. So I think the answer will be the same. If you go back to 2000, to year 2000, before the so-called Web 2 boom, you'll find out that when the HTTP protocols is released, everyone was getting super exciting, and they say that this is the freedom, and people can overthrow the government, can overthrow the existing capital system. They have the huge promise of the freedom, and I think if you live longer enough, you will find out that the Web3 is exactly the same. They gave the promise of financial freedom, gave the promise of the freedom of expression and everything. But as you can see, most of the people who earn money with blockchain is the people, most of them are the people very familiar with traditional finance. People are one foot in traditional finance, one foot in blockchain. So that is the people who are going to make money in this market. And most of DeFi users, I'm sorry to say this, but most likely they will lose money because the system is never built for retail investors. So that's why we come to the picture. We want to build a functional product can give benefits both to the retail investors and traditional institutions. In that case, the ecosystem can work. Otherwise, if we just build the protocols that will, let's say, gain value in 2 days and decrease on the third days, this is not our goal. Our goal is to build the truly decentralized functional platform with blockchain technology. And in the future, all the financial institutions, all the transactions of the big banks, of the national banks, they will be using blockchain technology, which means everything is transparent. You can't oversee everything. And for example, if they are using the same technology on 2008, what will happen is that you will see that what asset is in the collateral pools, and you know that they are all rubbish, and you know that the asset, sorry, the financial derivatives is under collateralized, and you know the risk value is not 3A. So when everything becomes transparent, we are less likely to behave badly, and we are less likely to treat people. So that can make the whole financial system more functional, and it's can allow the capital to be used more efficient. So that is basically our goal. I think it will be the future of DeFi, or let's say it will be the future of the finance. In the future, it will be partially decentralized, partially centralized, but any case, it will give not a total transparency, but relative transparency for all. And that is the future I believe will become reality.
Wonderful. Okay, well, that's all the questions I've got today. I'd like to thank you very much for taking some time out to talk to us here today. And also, I can't wait to see what the future of DBOND has in store for us.
Yeah, so looking forward. And before I can end this call, if you want to learn more about DeFi or DBOND, for example, you can just join our social medias, and everything will be very happy to welcome you and explain all the process. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And thanks for everybody watching, and have a great day.
Have a good day, Sean. See you.